Hey, what's going on, people? This is Irvin at CDL4LESS, training instructor. We're going to go over Class B pre-trip today. I heard a lot of the complaints about the other videos of not being able to hear. That's the students who were posting those videos. They were outside of the truck and trying to speak over the engine. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we get that inside cabin as well as the entire Class B pre-trip for you guys in the manual truck. So we'll start. First things first. We would always make sure that we drop our air pressure to about 90 pounds. And once we're at 90, all right, what we would like to do first would be our safe start. So we want to turn our key over, 1 click, 2 clicks until we see the lights. Make sure that all our lights clear out on our dash, including ABS light. Once all those lights go out, which they did, we would then clutch all the way in and start our engine up. All right, so now that we got our engine going, we want to build that pressure to 120 before we perform the air brake test for the Maryland state test. All right, so we're going to build that pressure up, bring our RPMs up to about 15. That's going to speed up the process. Once it gets to 120, we'll hit that governor cutout. There we go, we heard that psst. All right, so now that we had a full tank, we're gonna first do our 3 key steps. Turn the key to the off position. All right, then we'll turn it back to the safe start on position. Make sure that we see the lights. All right, all lights came on. And then last but not least, we're gonna release that brake. Wheels will be chalked. All right, so at this point in time, we would then tell the tester, who would be sitting in the passenger seat, Miss or Mr. Tester, can you please time me for 1 minute? I would like to perform my air brake test. I will make sure that as we hold down our brake pedal, service brake for 1 minute, within that 1 minute for the Class B, we want to make sure we don't lose more than 3 pounds of pressure in that 1 minute hold. Ask them to please time you, and they will say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Are you ready? You just say politely, yes. They'll say your time starts now, and at that moment, you just push down on your brake, hold it there for 1 minute. Within that 1 minute, you're going to make sure that you hold it down and just wait for them to give you the okay to stop your test. And what they'll do is say that your minute is now completed. At that time, you release. As you release, you tell them that you did not lose more than 3 pounds of pressure within that actual 1 minute hold. We will then continue to fan down our brakes to approximately 60 pounds of pressure. At 60 pounds of pressure, our warning lights and indicators should come on. All right, so our warning lights and indicators, red lights came on. All right, we know they're properly working. We're now going to fan below 40 PSI and wait for our parking valve to actually pop out. So at this point, we'll just keep fanning down, and we want to watch our valve actually, and we just keep fanning until that parking valve pops out. Now that parking valve can pop out between 20 and 40 PSI, and it just popped out. We're about 20 PSI. So now what we like to do, that concludes the air brake test. We want to rebuild so that we can perform that parking brake test. So what we'll do is just clutch all the way in, start our engine back up, build that pressure back up to 120. Now, in the midst of doing that, they will give you a checklist. You can go through the rest of your checklist, which on your checklist, you will first check your light indicators. Make sure the left signal works. Also making sure that the right signal works. Pull back for the high beams. We'll check our hazard lights. They properly work. And then on the side, our low beams. Click those on. They properly work as well. We also want to make sure that our windshield has no illegal stickers or obstructions blocking our vision. Make sure it's properly sealed around. Make sure it's securely mounted, not cracked or damaged, and no leaks. Also checking the traffic monitor devices. Make sure our mirrors are adjusted for our sight. Make sure they're connected to the bracket connected to the door, securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or damaged as well. Also checking our windshield wipers and fluid. Windshield wipers and fluid properly working. Also, the blades are making proper contact to the windshield itself. The blades are connected to the arm. The arm is connected to the truck, securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, or leaking there. And we also want to check out defrosters. Make sure it's on the proper setting. It's there. Put it on heat. turn it up high, fill up top, fill down bottom, properly working. You can turn that back off. And we also want to check our emergency equipment, which will be the ABC fire extinguisher, which we have here. Make sure that that needle is reading in the green so we know it's fully charged. We have 3 reflective triangles underneath the passenger seat, spare fuses in the glove box. And after that, we would then continue to build up the pressure. So we're going to get back onto the gas, bring our RPMs back up to 20 to finish building that air pressure up. But in the midst of that time, we can actually talk about the service brake test. Before we build it up, we'll say if we were to perform a service brake test, we will actually put our vehicle in drive no more than 5 miles an hour straight ahead. And when applying our brakes, we'll make sure that the vehicle doesn't pull over to the left or to the right. All right, and after that, we'll then go from there and finish building up our air pressure. And then the air pressure, once we build that up, we'll then go on into our tug test. So while we're doing that, we'll just wait until we hear that governor cut out. Once we hear that governor cut out, which will be at 120, we'll do the park and brake test. All right, that governor went out. So now we're going to clutch all the way in, put our vehicle in first gear, and keep our brake applied, which is make sure it's out. And what we'll do is slowly let out our clutch and give it a little gas. It holds, clutch back in, put it in neutral, make sure that brake is out. All right, we're good. And from that point on, you would then do a buddy test or a buddy system, which is where you ask the tester who will be in this seat to politely step outside the vehicle and check the front and back light indicators to make sure they work also on the outside. All right, they'll go out front. As you go out front, then you also, once again, hit all your lights, left signal, right signal, hazard lights, low beams, high beams. Do the same for the back. And once you complete, they'll tell you turn off the engine. And from that point on, you'll step outside and then you'll do the outside point of your test. So you'll walk to the front. As we go to the front, you'll let the tester know as you approach the front of your vehicle, make sure your vehicle is not leaning to the left or right, which can indicate a suspension issue and or flat tire. Also check underneath for any puddles. Make sure we don't have any puddles showing any engine leaks. Also checking up top for the clearance lights and the turn signal lights, as well as your headlights. Make sure they are all proper color, amber in color, headlights clean and clear. They're all securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or damaged. Then we'll pop the hood and start on the driver's side. Just pull that rubber latch up on both sides. Pull that little latch. From there, we'll pull up. See? All right. So we'll then come over and talk about all of our hoses, wires, as well as reservoirs that hold fluid in them. Make sure that they're all properly secure, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, and or leaking. All hoses and wires not dry rotted, melted, and or frayed. All right, we'll go to the fluid levels, which we'll see from our coolant. We check the sight glass, make sure the fluid levels read between add and max. If we need to add any fluid to any of the reservoirs, we always wait till the engine is off and cool before adding. All right, if you add when the engine is actually hot, if you open that cap, that pressure will build up and that hot fluid can splash out on you and burn you. So you make sure that the engine is off and cool before adding. All right, then we'll check our power steering as well as the oil. We'll check them through the dipsticks, pull them out, wipe them clean, reinsert them, pull them back out. They should also read between add and full. Once again, if you need to add any fluid to any reservoir, always wait till the engine is off and cool before doing so. Then we'll go down to our steering gearbox, connecting arm, aka pitman arm, drag link, tie rod, castle nuts, and carter pins on both ends. Make sure they're all securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or damaged, steering gearbox not leaking. From there, we'll then check the tires. Tires, check the outside wall, the inside wall. Make sure there's no cuts, bulges, or abrasions, no bubbles. We also want to check the tread depth with the tread depth gauge. That tread depth should read 4/32 of tread on the front steer tire with no recaps allowed. Now on the back tires, we have 2/32 of tread depth. Recaps are allowed. All right, and then we'll check the rim itself. Make sure the rim has no illegal welds, securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. Check our lug nuts. Make sure all lug nuts are present, no shiny threads or rust trails leading the way, which will indicate a loose lug nut. We also want to check the valve stem and cap. Make sure it's present, securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. And we check out air pressure with the air pressure gauge. Tires should read 80 to 100 pounds of pressure. All right, from that point on, we check out springs, shocks, and airbags. On this particular truck, we do not have airbags, but we do have our leaf spring. Make sure the leaf spring and mount securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or damaged. Top and bottom shock absorber, securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, or leaking any fluid. And if there was an airbag, the airbag will be sitting behind the back tire around this section. This particular truck does not have one, but since we don't have one, we can tell the tester if we did have an airbag. We would check it to make sure it's securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, and or leaking air. Then we go to our brake hose and lines. Make sure the brake hose lines chamber is securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, or leaking air. Check our brake drum. The brake drum should be free of contaminants such as oil or grease and securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. And from there, we can shut the hood of the truck. So we shut the truck. And we'll check the side lenses and reflectors. So we have our side reflectors and lenses. Make sure they're proper color amber, securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or damaged. Check our traffic monitor devices on the outside. Make sure that the mirrors connect to the bracket connect to the door. Securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts, no CDLs, cracked, damage. And if it had fluid or air in it, we'll add the leaks. All right, that's an abbreviation, not commercial driver's license, but crack, damage, and leaks. All right, make sure that you remember. All right, so now from there, we'll go over to our battery box. Our battery compartment should be securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, and also not leaking any battery fluid, as well as no excessive corrosion on our connection lines. We'll check out fuel tank, fuel straps, fuel electric hoses and wiring, as well as the fuel cap. Make sure they're all securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts, no crack, damages, or leaks. And our wiring and hoses are not dry rotted, melted, or frayed. Inside the cap has a chain connecting the cap to the tank so we don't lose our cap, as well as a rubber seal or rubber gasket inside to make sure we prevent leaks. And also around our straps, we make sure we don't see any shininess, which can indicate a loose strap. And once again, all of the parts here that we previously named, once again, are securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. All right, then we'll come to our frame of our trailer. Make sure the frame has no illegal welds, securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts, and also our cross members are in the shape and form of a ladder. All right, from that point on, we'll then head to the back for our lenses. All right, back we have our red lenses and clear for our reverse lights. They're all proper color, securely mounted, not missing nuts or bolts, not cracked, damaged. And that concludes the Class B manual Maryland pre-trip inspection. Appreciate you all. If you have any questions, please leave comments below. If you need any help, please contact our website at CDL4LESS.com. Once again, spelling here, CDL4LESS.com. For any questions, they have the number on there as well. You can call that number. It's on the website. Ask for Rick. He will definitely help you out. If you have any questions about any section of the pre-trip, go ahead and leave a comment below. If you feel that I did the pre-trip a little fast, there's a button at the top of your corner which has the settings. Go all the way down and it allows you to actually slow the video down. All right, it's a setting there. You'll click on that setting, scroll all the way to the bottom, and it has the speed of the video. You can literally slow that video down to the point where you can hear everything if you did not get to hear it a lot clearer. All right, so once again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below the video. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Appreciate you guys. Irvin, CDL4LESS, signing out.